video, I'll be doing a movie review about The Last Emperor by Bernardo Bertolucci. This video will be composed of 4 parts. The first part will be about the film facts or the film contents. The second part will be about the film summary. I will be talking about the significant scenes that happened during the movie. Third will be my personal insights, opinions, and expectations. And then lastly will be my recommendations that I think that will help the viewers understand more the film. So, let me start by saying the film content. Now for the facts about the movie. Basically, The Last Emperor is a film that talks about the life of the last emperor of the King of Manchu dynasty, or also known as Puyi. The film was released in October 1987 and was first produced in Italy. It was directed by Bernardo Bertolucci and produced by Jeremy Thomas. The film talks about the coronation of Puyi when he was a toddler. He was crowned as the emperor to his imprisonment and political rehabilitation by the Communist Party of China. The film received 9 Academy Awards and 4 Golden Globe Awards, including Bernardo Bertolucci as the Best Director. For the duration of the film, it lasts about 3 hours and 30 minutes, so it's very lengthy. For the summarization of the movie, the film begins in 1950 with the arrival of Puyi in a prison in China where he attempts to commit suicide but was later on revived by the prison governor. As the movie plays, it shows flashbacks of Puyi's life. In 1908, at the age of 3, he was summoned to the Forbidden City by the dying Empress Dowager. She crowned Puyi as the new emperor or the Lord of 10,000 years. He was only familiar to his eunuchs and maids at that time. He had only one friend, Armo, his wet nurse. And as a toddler, he was confused of what was happening around him. He wanted to go back to his home and be with his mother, but his wish was always declined. As the film progresses, he learned that he was not allowed to leave the imperial palace. When he grew up, he met his family. He was visited by his mother and his younger brother Puchi. However, he no longer remembers them, but his brother stayed at the Forbidden City to accompany him. His younger brother told Puyi that he was no longer an emperor since China is a republic. Armo was also asked to leave that day because the emperor is all grown up, he wouldn't be needing a wet nurse. Puyi was also assigned to an English tutor, Mr. Johnston. Mr. Johnston gave Puyi a Western-style education, and he also taught him about the things outside the Forbidden City and also introduced him to a bicycle. Puyi tried to escape, but he would always fail to make it out of the gates. Mr. Johnston convinced him that the best way to escape is through marriage. He then married 2 women, namely Wanjung as his empress and Wenshui as his secondary consort. While in 1924, the occupants of the Forbidden City were asked to leave by the Japanese. He, together with his wives, left and lived in Taijin. Their names were also changed to Puyi being called as Henry and Wanjung as Elizabeth. Mr. Johnston left to go back to the west, and Puyi went to Manchukuo, or Japan's puppet state. The Japanese crowned him as emperor, but this was only used to rule or to invade Manchuria. During this time, his secondary consort asked for a divorce, but Puyi did not accept this. Instead, Wenshui ran away. Puyi was then made or to sign an official order to appoint a new prime minister. Wanjung went crazy and was addicted to opium. Later on in the movie, is the scenes of Puyi in the prison, wherein he was able to take care of himself or do things on his own without needing a person to help him. He was then released and become a gardener. He also saw his prison governor being embarrassed during the cultural festival. Years after his release, he went to visit the Forbidden City, but not as an emperor, but as a tourist. He saw a boy and showed him his cricket that was kept in the compartment of the throne where only Puyi knew about. When the boy looked back, Puyi was gone. This symbolizes the ending of the story or Puyi's death. As for my insights about the film, there were different pros and cons about the movie. As for the genre, the film shows a historical story about the last emperor of China. Plenty of settings were also shown during the film which complemented the good acting of the characters, such as Puyi or John Lone. As for the structure of the film, the imprisonment of Puyi was intermixed with the flashbacks of his early life. This can be confusing at first watch, but this is also a key to further understand what was happening in the scene because the flashbacks were background information about the presented scene. While the film's runtime is about 3 hours and 30 minutes long, which can be very lengthy for a viewer to watch, especially for a student. But on the bright side, since it was very lengthy, it contained full details or many details about what happened during Puyi's time. The roles were also played well and good lines were also used during the film. The film can be also relatable to our present lives today. Also, the film used 3 mediums, English, Japanese, Mandarin, or Chinese, while as for the cinematography, it was good. The soundtrack helped me become interested of the different scenes. The use of camera and editing were also pretty good since the film was made in 1987. You would expect low quality, but the film met my expectations. The film was well made, although at some parts it can be very boring, but the cast of the film was able to pull off an exciting film and was able to show or to present the significant happenings, significant scenes that happened during Puyi's time. There were also different cultures shown in the story that helped me understand the history of China. I would recommend that you watch this movie if you are interested in the field of history. And I would also recommend to watch the film with subtitles because, as I said earlier, it used 3 mediums or 3 languages. Subtitles would help you a lot to understand the flow of the film. And lastly, I would recommend that you watch this for educational purposes and not for entertainment purposes. That ends my video for today. Goodbye and thank you.
Now for the facts about the movie. The Last Emperor is basically a film that talks about the movie. The Last Emperor is a film about the past life of the last emperor of the Qing or Manchu dynasty, or also known as Puyi.